Cubs make a trade with the Rangers, and they get another reliever. We'll talk about Matt Festa, the new Cub. How about Miles Mastrobuoni? DFA'd by the Cubs. He'll find a new home, but we'll talk a little bit about that. Arbitration for some Cubs pitchers, including Justin Steele and more, right here on the Cubs baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Go Cubs. Let's go. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs baseball channel. Thank you for being here. A lot of little things to talk about today, but maybe not little things, just things that we talk about here on the channel. And a lot of just small news items that happened yesterday that, I wanted to talk about today. But thank you for being here. Let's get right into the trade that was made. And the Cubs are trying to do their best to put together a bullpen that may be able to surprise some teams and be a strength instead of a weakness of the team, right? So they made a trade with the Rangers yesterday, and they get Matt Festa. They get him from the Rangers, and they basically just gave up cash for him, right? So this is a former Mariners 7th-round pick, 2016. He's originally from Brooklyn, New York, and he's a guy who last year kind of found himself, at least, his first, I want to say, like, real success in the big league since 2018 when he made his major league debut for the Mariners and had a 2.16 ERA in 8 games. He's really never been the pitcher that people think he's capable of being, but in 2022, he did pitch 53 games for the Mariners and had a 2-0 record and a 4.17 ERA. But you look at his stuff, that season he had 18 walks, 64 strikeouts in 54 innings. He's got electric stuff. And I think that that's the thing that the Cubs are really hoping that they can condense with him as they bring him over. So last year he was with the Mets and then spent the majority of his big league season with the Rangers, had a 6-0 record with the Rangers. So he was kind of like one of those vultures that would come in and get wins, a 4.37 ERA, some upside there, 8-3 record in his major league career, only 108 big league games. So he's kind of been one of those back and forth guys, but, and I mean back and forth AAA to the big leagues, but the Cubs like what he has. And when you talk to people about him and what he brings to the table, there's a lot of good stuff there as far as movement and ability to get batter. When you talk about Festa, what does he bring to the table? Well, he's a slider, 4-seam fastball pitcher. He throws some other pitches as well, but throws more sliders than any other pitch. And then 4-seamer second most. Then, some other stuff he'll occasionally throw in there, a cutter, on a rare occasion, sinker and a curveball. And he threw one changeup. Right. So, hey, I'm going to experiment with this. But for the most part, you're going to get the slider and the 4-seam fastball. Sometimes when teams make a deal for a guy like Festa, they're going, you know what? We look at him and we think, hey, if he throws more of the the slider, if he throws more of the less of the 4-seamer and more of the sinker, or they may say, hey, we like the way that his stuff plays and we feel like that it's going to work really, really, really well here at Wrigley. But anyway, that's what the Cubs are getting in Festa. And they've been pretty active trying to find diamonds in the rough. They love to buy low and sell high, and I think that's good for any business. And obviously, with Festa, they're buying low right now, cash considerations, and they're getting a guy that pitched to a 6-0 record last year in the major leagues. Now, somebody will say, "Well, Mick, what is 6-0 record? I mean, but his ERA was high. Does it matter?" Yeah, winning games means that when you go in and it's either tied or you're ahead, you don't blow it, right? You do enough to keep your team in the game. So I've seen guys that when they have an opportunity to win, we call them vultures. They're their best. Hey, this guy's not going to pitch he's pitching 4 2/3. Well, I'm coming in. I'm going to pitch the 5th and the 6th and maybe part of the 7th, and then the bullpen takes care of the rest, and we score some runs, and I get a win. So he was 6-0 with the Rangers, and his only loss came in his one outing for the Mets. And and the Cubs are going to have him, as part of that bullpen. At least he'll be fighting for a spot. And then if they decide that, you know what, he's not someone that they need, they can get rid of him, and it really didn't cost him anything. Now, part of this deal was the end of Miles Mastrobuoni. And a lot of us have said, okay, we didn't really get the Mastrobuoni thing in the first place. But I do want to say a couple things about Miles Mastrobuoni. And, I looked at the organization and I wondered, why some of these opportunities weren't given to other guys. I mean, he hit 194 last year. 19 hits and 98 at bats. The year before that, he hit 241 and 61, 131 at bats. Played for the Rays, hit 188. But he's a guy that can, do different things. I mean, you can put him in the infield. He can play a little shortstop if you need him to, third base, second base, some outfield. He plays the game the right way. I mean, he plays hard, not afraid to get dirty, can run a little bit. But I look at it as I'm constantly thinking about what am I doing to develop the players that we went out and got and the guys that I think are going to be potentially stars down the line. I look at guys like Mastrobuoni and I think, well, if I've got a team that's competing for a World Series, I love a guy like this. But when I have a team that I looked at last year and the year before that, and I'm like, this team's, they'd be lucky to win a World Series. I want to be developing with these bench spots, right? And there's utility guys that you could have used in the Cubs organization. That's a criticism, but I do like Mastrobuoni and the way he plays the game. He'll find another spot, I'm sure. And if he doesn't, I'm sure the Cubs would sign him into a minor league deal. But I'm sure he's hoping to be in the big leagues. But I'll tell you the biggest compliment I can give him is that, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You've seen it too. Is that this guy, Miles Mastrobuoni, always played the game the right way, always gave 110%, and that you got to respect that. Played the game hard, so good luck to him. Arbitration, avoid it. And let me tell you, if a club goes to arbitration with a player, sometimes there's some bad feelings that go with that. So if you're a team, you want to avoid arbitration with the player. The player should want to avoid arbitration with you. Work a deal out that is mutually good for everyone. And here's Justin Steele, $6.55 million. Our man from George County, Mississippi, same town as Claude Passo of the 1945 Cubs World Series team. Both pitchers for the Cubs. And hopefully Steele gets to the World Series. But, hey, he made $6.5 million, or he's going to make it this year. So good for him. Congratulations. That's pretty cool. And the Cubs avoided going to arbitration. They settled before they got there. And then Nate Pearson, remember they traded to get Pearson from the Blue Jays last year. He's going to get $1.35 million avoiding arbitration. So good for those two guys. And then finally on today's show, the Cubs decided that they did not want to make a trade for the Dodgers catching prospect. This guy was a top 20 prospect. And I'm sure there's no way that the Cubs didn't kick the tires on this deal. Cartaya was the Dodgers' number one prospect, kind of tapered off last year, but he's got the look, man. I mean, the Twins decided to give up a young pitcher for him, and what they're getting is an opportunity to see if they can develop this guy and turn him into the star that he has basically the potential to be. The Cubs very thin catching in the organization, but they went out and signed they went out and signed Carson Kelly, so they have him. Miguel Amaya, came on strong at the end of last year. And then you're hoping that Moises Ballesteros, or don't forget about Pablo Allende, but one of those two guys steps up and makes a push for that catching spot. If I was the Cubs, I probably would have tried to, if I could, make a deal to get Cartaya, because I think having catching, you can't have enough. It's the second most important thing to me besides pitching. And part of it is that there's just not a lot of it out there. And here's a guy who was a top prospect, and I know the Dodgers gave up on him, but partly because their roster's stacked and they don't have a room on the 40-man. So anyway, we thought that maybe the Cubs would make a move there. They didn't. And, we'll keep an eye on other potential moves that could possibly be made. Thank you guys for watching the show. I want to also say, hey, really enjoy Naren when he jumps on there and decide. He was on the show yesterday. I love when you guys get in the comments section, make comments, talk about baseball, cut it up. What the best part about our audience is that you guys are really smart when it comes to baseball, and you love the game and you love talking about the game. Some of your comments are hilarious, and Naren kind of represents our great viewers. So I love having him on to talk, and we'll do it again. And maybe I'm thinking this, maybe some of you guys would like to come on as well, and share your experiences as Cub fans, and going to Wrigley or seeing the Cubs on the road. So something to keep in the back of your mind as we move forward. But thanks for hanging out. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, as I say every single day. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow unless something big breaks. Maybe this is the day that the Cubs make that blockbuster trade and blow our minds. Go Cubs.